hereby call the workshop to order at this time. We have a few items on the agenda. First, we had the community center project and our capital improvement plan. Now, for a couple of years, we've talked about it. Our initial plan was for a specified site, and of course, that site has not been donated, or we can't even get in touch with it. Since nobody's here, actually been jarred in the property. We thought that there was a possibility that we might get that property, but it's sitting down there growing up, and we can't get a hold of him. I've had his attorney talk to him about it, and he can't even get an answer from him. So what I would like to do for right now is appoint a committee, a discovery committee that go out. We think there is funding that will be available coming up probably in the next, if not this year, coming up a couple of years. But we've got to have some kind of discovery program put together. So I would like to appoint to this committee, with approval of the rest of the board, of course, is Lamar, Alan, and Buster. Along with Jessica, we will have meetings, we will look, research some sites. It'd probably take us a while, but we need to start somewhere. And we've already talked to several people. Me personally, have talked to some industry here in Sweetwater that's willing to donate. I've also talked to some individuals. One doctor in Madisonville told me that when we got ready for funding, he would be glad to give his wording was substantial amount. So I think with community efforts, we can make this happen. Do I have permission from the board? Is there any objections of appointing this committee? Buster, will you be willing to serve? Yeah. Alan? Yeah. And Lamar said he would. All right. In discussion. Next, I place this item on the workshop agenda. It is involving record rotation. We have discussed this several times, and we have had a few complaints, several complaints from one wrecker company, one at Ball Air, ANS, I believe, Wrecker Service. We have discovered, and Eddie, correct me if I'm wrong, that we have went down there and there is no evidence that James, Owen James, he's working out of Loudon, and Eddie has went down there personally. We can find no evidence of him having any presence of a wrecker service at that building. Am I right?
That's correct. He does have, though, he's got a tax roll and a business address and a phone number. But the time I've been down there a couple of times, I'm not going to find him there when I was there.
And then,
let me ask Eddie this.
Yes, sir.
Are we talking about how you're in the former record place?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
A couple of days ago, we had a tow truck parked out there. And that up there next to the building.
And he may be there, and I may have been there when he
Richard
wasn't
and I was
there.
out there, the tow truck was backed in, where you could see the side of it, James Record Service or whatever they call it.
Yes, sir, that'd be it.
but there's no evidence. We understand that if he gets a call in Sweetwater, a wreck, or he's on rotation, he takes that vehicle to Loudon. But we've had several complaints from DJ down here that it bothers him to have a wreck in front of his place of business and see a place like James Body Shop coming and getting the car and towing it off. So there is a copy, if you have read it in your minutes, I think pretty accurate, pretty good. So, Eddie, do you have a suggestion, or you or Commissioner Stockton, on how we can handle this and what is the appropriate way?
I'll be glad if commissioners will, and I'll be glad to follow up on it this week and check again. You know, Commissioner West says that he did see a record out there. I'll check, follow up, and see if they're there, and just check with all four of them while I'm doing it, and make sure everybody goes step by step through this process. Make sure everybody's still abiding by it. You know, I'll be glad to follow up with it, and then I can report back to the board individually, or Jessica, whoever you'd like for me to. It'd be up to the commission, whatever he wants me to do.
I'd like to say something about this, Mayor. These record people, they're a different kind of breed of people. They're jealous as they can be of every other one. They're jealous. They're worse than a bunch of little kids. Me and you and Jessica had sat in a meeting with this James bunch probably last year. I put the guy on probation for about 6 months. He done good. And I've not heard any more complaints about him since until this Eddie sort of made me aware of this. I don't know how it feels to everybody. James has got his property, he pays taxes, he's got signage, whatever he needed to get into the rotation. And DJ, he complains about everything, but I guess in his eyes, a wreck right there in front of his place and somebody else pulled it in, and he probably had a legitimate complaint.
I can clarify that for the board though, because the board may not know exactly how that works, and let me just clarify that for you.
I'm gonna tell them.
Okay.
We have a rotation of 4, I think, unless there's another one I don't know about. One of them is outside the city. And DJ's one, James is one, and this Sweetwater Collision is one of them. Anyway, it's set up in the computer with the county, who's next to call. And that's why James got called to go down here. They were doing the right thing. The problem is with DJ is there, it happened close to his place, and he didn't like that because someone else got called. I think we ought to make a board decision how we want this to actually be handled, because everybody so far has got paperwork right, except Sweetwater Collision is not in the city. And if this guy's not out here, we have a wreck, he has 15 minutes to,
What about Harry's?
Harry's in the rotation too. And when it was just him, we never had any problems, and he done a lot of things for the city. Never charged us 1 penny. And DJ does stuff for us, so I'd say that for him. It's just, we're dealing with a bunch of kids here that's jealous of the job they got. Now, that's where they act to me. And if they were sitting here, I'd say the same thing. But I think we need to decide, just like James, if he's not gonna be active here, where he's visible to our town, 24 hours a day, we need to decide whether we wanna keep him. And if we wanna change the way we're doing this, I'd like for this group of people right here to make the decision how we want it handled, and when we can stop all this squabbling about all this kind of stuff. I don't know if anybody else has got something else they feel about it. Mention it, because it may be better than what I think about it. Eddie's, when they first started growing, Eddie put a lot of work and attention to this thing to get them to where they're, one every 4 times they get to go work on it here. Whether they need to be in the city and active here 24 hours a day, or it's sort of hard to pick what's actually right here.
Well, my opinion is, if they're not like you said, active here in the city with a visible place, I think we should use the ones in the city. The one Sweetwater Collision, I understand that he said to somebody he didn't care whether he was on it or not. Am I right? Did somebody make that statement?
There was a time when he had talked about if he had to come off of it, he'd understand.
Yeah. But Eddie, check on that.
Yeah, I'll be willing to check on it this week. I'll go to each one of them.
See if there is visible signs.
I thought they had a body shop out there in the back of that place that was open every day.
The old liquor store building, he was out there in behind it at one time. Who's the guy here in town with the makeshift record, the black record, with no advertising, no nothing on it?
That is, I know his name. He is the record for the race people out there.
He's just pulling on the track. He's not
Yeah,
a
he
commercial
pulls
hire.
them off the track. He's not. I know exactly. He may have some kind of stuffed animal,
I think a big old bear or something back
bear
there.
or something.
I've
Yeah.
seen it, kangaroo before.
Okay.
That's it. My understanding is that the James, Owen James is over the record. What's the guy's name that, had the liquor store in Loudon, James?
I looked up his corporation.
He ran for office.
Oh, Lauren Plevins owns the building. But anyway, getting back to, the record, I think it's only fair that we treat our, and I know y'all do too, treat our local people like DJ, BJ, and Harry over here that's been here, wants to be a part of the community. And, I don't think the outside people ought to come in and take away from our local people.
No, I'll make the point, Mayor. I'll contact every one of them tomorrow. Like I said, I'll make an attempt. to
And
contact
we'll
them.
put this back on the agenda for next Monday night for discussion. Any more questions, any comments?
My opinion is you promote the businesses within the city limits.
And that's pretty much, if we go by the policy, that's what it says. It says they have
I
to
mean,
tow
if-
them local in the city.
If 911 centers, if they're going by the rotation, that's all.
Because we don't know who's coming. You know, that's the thing. We just say give us a
Just have a
schedule.
drive.
You know, we don't, the officer doesn't know who's coming.
But the city council has the only one that has a right to remove them off
Correct.
the 911 schedule.
How do you guys feel about this rotation system? Are you happy with that?
I think that'd be
Think it
the
needs to
fairest way to
different
do it.
I mean, just out of curiosity, I mean, is it a rotation in the 911 system that comes up?
Yes, it's
Is
in
that
their
how-
computer.
it's
We don't even
automated?
have it. Yes, it's in their computer. They
Well,
have.
okay, here DJ, now we're just talking about this.
But, I mean, as far as that criteria, I mean, everybody meets that.
They have to fill out significant paperwork before they're added to the rotation. They have to provide proof of insurance, they have to show that they have garage keeper's insurance, they have to show that they have on-hook coverage for the vehicle while it's on the hook. So they have to provide all this insurance up front. They have to list a location for a lot where they store the vehicles inside the city limits so that the police department, if it's a vehicle that they've worked the
That's-
wreck on it, and they can go inspect it here locally.
That's what I was
They all have
just
to
gonna
have a
ask.
Sweetwater business license, which they do. They all have to pay Sweetwater property taxes, which all 4 of them do right now. They're all on the tax roll. So
So the
as
location,
far as the paperwork goes, everything shows all 4 of them have
Well-
met all those qualifications.
but as far as the location, I was
That's
curious.
what,
I was
that's what the
curious.
two may be uncompliant in, is the locations. They're not storing. I
Okay.
feel that 2 of them are not compliant in where they're storing their
But the
vehicles.
location is important.
Yes, their
to you.
location is there though.
But
It's just
that's
whether
a
they're
very
storing them there or
important.
not.
I was asking out of curiosity, the importance of the location.
Oh, yes, it's important for the, I'm sorry.
No, no,
Sorry,
that's
I wasn't
okay.
paying attention. I was talking, still listening.
That's okay.
Yes, it's important because that way if we work a wreck or if we have a crime scene or something like that, therefore if it's
Easy
pulled, like
access.
DJ's here now, if it's pulled down here at A&S, he'll make it available for my guys to get there to work the
I
scene
got you. Okay,
instead of going off to another county or somewhere like that.
Yeah,
that makes sense. I just didn't realize that.
meeting this criteria and staying within this criteria is very important.
Yes, if everybody stays within that, then we're good, but when we don't, is when it needs brought before the board.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right, if I'm hearing this correctly, this is gonna be on the agenda for next month. All right. And I got a question for DJ when we get down here, but, what are we gonna be voting on? How's the feeling this is gonna be set up? I just wanna know what we're dealing with.
After Eddie's investigation, to see if James actually has a record service out there rather than Loudon, then if we'll vote to take them off the call list,
That's what our motion will be.
most, and if Sweetwater Valley, I think they're already out of compliance myself, because they live halfway.
Very possible, yes.
I mean, they don't even have a,
Is, question, no, is that not in the policy now?
it's in the.
Yes, sir.
If we vote next week, when we vote to install this policy, then if they don't comply with that policy, then they go off of it.
That's right.
Yeah, yes, sir, it's in the policy that it's brought before the board. All we'll be doing is the city recorder will be saying, we've looked, the chief's looked, and this person is not in compliance for this reason. And then you guys will say, well, I make a motion, we, purge them, remove them, whatever proper terminology is.
Let me ask you this question, why do we have to do that if we got a policy?
The
The policy
says
states the board
before
does
On
it.
their own?
Yeah,
The
the
last
policy,
page of the policy,
says it comes before the board.
yeah.
the last page of the policy says, any removal shall be recommended by the chief of police to the Sweetwater Mayor and Board of Commissioners at a city workshop. The board shall approve the removal. A minimum period of 6 months shall pass before the company can reapply to participate in the rotation.
Okay, DJ, good to have you. You got here a little bit late, but that's exactly what we was talking about. Bill, you said you had a question?
Yeah, I understand through some comments before we came in here tonight, DJ, and we sat here and discussed it now probably for 10 minutes, maybe a little longer. It bothers me to the fact that I hear this from a bunch of people and you never even came to me about it. What's the problem?
I'm just in the city.
I understand that.
I believe that all the business is in the city. So if I get a tow, direct, you guys are getting all my money for your taxes and everything. When I first got on the list, I was told you had to be in the city. Then Sweetwater Collision got on it, they rented next to me when I was at the liquor store. Then all of a sudden they moved out and they're still on it. And I think that's the county out there, and the county's not supporting
It
the
is,
city.
you know. But the thing is, it'd be easy to pick up the phone and call me and ask me and discuss this with me where I can pass it on to the other board instead of me finding it out from different people all over town. And I'm not even ever talked to you about it till right now.
I've talked to people, so.
We've been over backwards to, keep you people happy. I just don't understand you not coming to the right people and talk to me about it. I just stepped in and see what I could have found out and brought it before these folks before, I don't know if anybody else had told any of these people or not. Before, I think they all knew about it.
Well, in DJ's defense, I have talked to Eddie several times
Yes,
about
not,
this.
and DJ's talked to me about it before.
And that was some of the time, I think, that when you were sick and going under,
Yes, he did talk to me, and that's why I went out and done the inspection that I
Yeah.
did when I went out there before.
Anyway, if you got a problem, no, I'd like you to come talk to me about it, or talk to me, maybe. We'd sit down, we got an open door, we don't we don't have any problems talking to nobody.
Eddie, will you report back?
Yes, sir,
It's
I'll go
on the
tomorrow, yeah,
agenda
like I said, I'll go
for-
tomorrow.
As it'll be worded, if they are to be removed, we'll vote on the removal of James and Sweetwater Collision.
I'll tell you exactly what I find out.
Okay. All right. Moving along. We have reviewed the policy in several meetings and workshop. As is drafted now, the city and our board and committees may use the city building for any of their activities by reserving them through the city hall. However, for unrelated and outside organizations, private reservations or rooms is only available in the basement. We would include a fee schedule for any activity needed security or city staff. I will now open the floor for discussion, so this policy can be placed on the agenda in November. This came up about two months ago, and I tabled it until November to give us an opportunity to talk about it. Has everybody went through the packet and read the packet to see what right now it says? I really think what it says right now is pretty good. I mean, in my opinion. If it does not take away from using this space here for special occasions such as Clint Riddle's birthday party, or the governor wants to come over here and have a meet and greet and things like that, I think it's pretty good, and I think those are included. If the governor wants to come by and have a meet and greet, or whoever it might be, that we can open up this space for that purpose. I'll open any comments.
You're talking about letting people use this room that's gonna be doing something of respect.
Right.
For the city, like it's a
For
city endorsed
and
activity.
it's not just anybody and everybody that wants to walk the doors, come in here and take the room over.
Right, everybody else, they could use the basement.
Now me, I feel like this room here, it's not a church, but it is a room of respect. I mean, there's been commissioners and mayor here since about 78, but, you know, and it's pretty much been that way ever since. Something of respect, I can go along with that.
Let me ask you this, John Seard. If we wanted to have, we have city debates. City debate would be like if, instead of going to the radio station in a little room that not much over 10 people can get into comfortably, could we as a city have a debate here in this room under the guidelines that's in the,
anything the city wants to sponsor as an official city event, a debate or any other kind of event, this policy allows that.
Buster was down there, and Alan both, and Sam, all three. It's pretty small down there when you have them, you know, and Buster.
No reason why, if come election time, you wanna have a debate here, and the radio station wanna come here.
That's right.
And that, I don't see, I think, you know, what we've got, I'll put it this way. And I don't mean to be sarcastic, it may come out that way, but I don't mean it to be. We're gonna stick our nose in the record business and then not do something on something here, and I think we're missing the point. If we're gonna control things, let's control what we really need to, and this room right here needs to be controlled.
Mr. Mayor, we've had those here before. debates, we've had them here before.
Yeah, I know that, But I wanted to make sure this was included because, and could we add that to that resolution?
Well, it doesn't specifically say debates, right? It just says anything the city sponsors.
Anything the city sponsors.
Okay.
And if the city wants to sponsor it and have the radio station come in and kind of host it or ask the questions,
Sure.
That's
Whoever wants to moderate it.
pretty well in the policy now, isn't
It is.
That's how it's drafted
yeah,
now.
that's what it says.
But I guess the kicker behind this is it must be city sponsored and open to all.
Right.
Couldn't sponsor just one or two, it would have to sponsor all.
Well, you're talking about debates.
Well, that's what I'm asking as far as,
If there's a overarching sort of philosophy behind the whole thing, that when I drafted it, I tried to keep in mind, is that when something happens in this room, or for that matter, on this floor of the building, and people come and go through the front door, it's like it's got the city's official stamp of approval on it. And if the event has the city's official approval, then that's what it ought to be. But we ought not, for instance, if there's a political race coming up, we ought not look like, and we ought not in fact be endorsing one candidate over another. If we have a debate and they're all invited, we're not doing that. But if we make it available for a single individual to push their political campaign, then that has the appearance of the city's approval of that candidate. We ought not to do that. And the same thing with a church event. You know, if they want to use it, then it needs to be, it has to be something approved by the board, and we ought not be approving one church over any other, or any civic group over any other. If they're downstairs, and a lot of times people call it the basement, and somehow or other that's got a bad connotation, but I don't know why it should. It's city property, we're making it available to everybody. If they want to have a birthday party or a political meeting or whatever, then we're making it available. And at the same time, we shouldn't overlook the fact that for a lot of things, it really would be more appropriate if they were in the back room at the gondolier or at the dinner bell. There's lots of public places in this town that people actually make a living by renting out those spaces or feeding them food while they're there. We shouldn't be competing with those people either. You know, so it's not like we're shutting anybody out. We're making something available to them. If they don't like what the city's making available, there's lots of people in the private community that are willing and in fact happy to do that.
Let me throw a scenario at you. We had this in the past. If we have state legislature, we've had their debates in here. Lowell Russell and somebody else wants a debate in here, Democrat and a Republican. We don't want it political. It's open to both of them as long as both of them are represented.
Right.
Both parties.
Right, that's allowed.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's not just the city. It makes appropriate for any state agency. If the governor, our local representatives, our state senator, if those people want to use this space for something with the city's approval, they're welcome to use it for whatever they want to use it for, as long as it's not their own private re-election campaign.
Okay, let me ask you this, fits in the same category. If they have, somebody wants, which they have, and we've opened it up in time past for a Democrat or a Republican get-together. In other words, it demonstrates Democrat or Republican, either one. Do we open it up just for one party?
No.
But they could use the basement.
They use basement.
But not here.
Not
As
this one.
has probably happened, there's been probably been more political meetings in the city out at Engelman Park than anywhere else. They're welcome to use that and any other public facility that's available.
Okay, well, you,
We're not going to discriminate against anybody, but we're not going to discriminate in favor of anybody.
okay, to make this perfectly clear, we turned down, back when he was running,
A candidate,
huh?
a candidate.
A candidate, three of them, as a matter of fact. And we were justified in doing that. If it happens again, whether it's three Republicans or three Democrats, we would be justified again for turning it down in this room.
Yes.
Okay. Any more questions? Put those things. We will have minutes and distributions for October. We also have a public hearing and second reading on the harassment ordinance. We will remember, you will remember, we passed the resolution on the employee's handbook and had a public hearing for that resolution in the last meeting. But the ordinance to amend the charter to include this policy has to have 2 readings and its own public hearing. That will be on the,
I may have misunderstood. I thought you said charter, but you meant code, to amend the code.
did you mess up with me?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
You can't trust the script.
That got recorded, didn't it? That got recorded, didn't it?
Also, we have the promotion of a police officer to fill a vacancy. If that is ready before the November meeting, is everything on schedule on that, Eddie?
It could be, yes, sir. It could be.
We'll have quarterly financial report from the recorder and other business as needed. Anything else from the board that needs to be put on the agenda? All right, don't forget Halloween this coming week. Jeff, what's plans on that for right now?
So we're watching the weather very carefully for our Main Street Spooktacular, which is some activities we're doing downtown with inflatables and things. If it's thunderstorming, we will be canceling that event, and instead we may just do trick-or-treating here at City Hall from like 3 to 6 for the younger kids. We do not regulate trick-or-treating, we never have. The police department still plans on shutting down Mays Avenue on Thursday night if needed, if traffic warrants it. So if the weather's anywhere near decent, we'll still go ahead and shut down the street on Thursday night. We don't reschedule Halloween, we don't do rain dates. It's just always been our policy not to do that, because inevitably you run into something else. It's senior night, Friday night at the high school for football. It's Saturday night, we're having our square dance.
Mine Buster square dance.
Our square dance. So, I mean, we have so many other activities going on. It's not really
Somebody
going
gonna
to be
make a
rescheduled.
video of him and the money?
We are definitely going to take a video of Buster dancing.
Wait, listen,
Absolutely.
we can do it. We've done it before.
So that's the scoop on Halloween.
Yeah.
There's no rescue for a square dance if it rains, right?
No, you're still coming. You're still cutting a rug, even if it rains.
It's supposed to be 57, so by, when's time change? Isn't it?
This weekend, it changes
Oh.
Saturday, after the square dance. Y'all are
After
gonna
the
dance
square
all night
dance.
and then have to do a time change, but you gain an hour this time.
But
It'll
we'll
be
have,
beautiful Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
we'll have portable heaters down there, and, Alan, I reckon you guys could get one of them fire pits or 2 going.
It'll be there.
Huh?
It'll be
It'll
there.
be
Square dance is free. If you wanna eat all you can eat fish fry, it's $10.
Yeah, and they need at least 150 people to break even, so surely 150 people. All the catfish you can eat, hush puppies, drinks and everything for $10.
If I get $10, they're not gonna break even on me.
Yeah.
Ticket's gonna be available
They're at the door, just come.
Bill, thank you for being here. It's good to see you. We're proud to have you back after a couple of.
Thank you for saying that, and I want to tell this board, I appreciate them standing behind me through, a lot of, stress, medical issues, pain, you name it. They've all stood behind me, and, my department, Eddie, they stood behind me. They built ramps for me, done different things, they didn't have to do that. And, thank you.
Thank you, we appreciate you. Anything else that needs to come up? If not, we're adjourned. Thank you for being here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, DJ.